Hi again then guys, and welcome to another look back to a game that we haven't featured in a few weeks now, of course, Gran Turismo 2 in particular, my entry point into the franchise. And this time we're not just taking a look at a game that I love, but also a car that I love, because this is one of those vehicles that I don't directly bring up and talk about all that much. When I do reference Gran Turismo 2, it tends to be the same kind of cars that I talk about. Of course, the Renault Espace F1 in particular, sometimes the Vectors, the Venturis, the Lotus Elise GT1, that kind of thing. This one, though, is quite easily definitely my top 5 favourite cars in the game, maybe even top 3. Because even though I didn't realise it until relatively recently, this car for me was in effect the genesis of my love for the Daihatsu Storia. Because those who maybe haven't been around on the channel for quite as long probably won't be aware that I do actually love Daihatsu. They're a company that has a very specific brand image, that they welcome it, they embrace it, they sell cars to that particular demographic, generally older drivers who just want a little city runabout, something that's unassuming, that's affordable, that nobody would ever really want to steal. But then you have the Storia. The Storia is, if anything, a slightly more European approach rather than a full-on K car, as most of their others are, like the Daihatsu Move and that kind of thing. This one, though, has a bigger engine. Even in real life, the production versions have larger engines than your typical K car would have, but then of course they have the Cross 4, which is, for those who are unfamiliar with it, possibly the greatest sleeper car of the Gran Turismo franchise. Completely understated, all-wheel drive, turbocharged 700cc engine, incredible launch off the line, and the reason why it's so good is because it literally is a road-legal base model rally car. Daihatsu sold it so that private teams could buy it, prepare it, race it, and win with it, as many people did. In fact, in the sub 1 litre category, I believe, if memory serves correctly, it's actually one of the most competitive rally cars you can get. Now this one, although as I said earlier I did not realise it at the time, would prove to be the genesis of my love for it, because this is the top of the tree. As far as the Storia goes, it's the most extreme Storia of the entire Gran Turismo franchise, even on Gran Turismo 6, where you can get it to be a great car in road form, with over 340 horsepower. Even that doesn't even come close to this thing. This is full-on nuts. Now, we're not told how big the engine is. You could probably make some assumptions, but what we do know is that it's all-wheel drive, it's wider and lower than the Storia would usually be, almost Group B style, and in a funny kind of way it's almost like a way back predecessor to the fictional Group B cars that we now have in the Gran Turismo franchise in GT Sport. As far as spec though, it's a beast. 427 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque, and in an 800 kilo platform. So although it definitely has a resemblance to Group B for sure, it can in some cases actually take on vehicles that would typically be prepared for something more like the Group S or the Pikes Peak kind of level. Now, not necessarily in a Scudo, but it could definitely take on stuff like, well, any of the WRC machines in this game. It could take on the Trofeo Andros, Vauxhall Tigra ice race car, that kind of thing. It's great for that. The Storia is such a lightweight, ultra compact shape that it really feels like it shouldn't be going as fast as it is. The car that I affectionately call the turbocharged jelly bean. It really is like that. It's the automotive equivalent of a 420 horsepower peanut. It's amazing for performance. The handling is incredible, just like the road car is in the game and in later games as well. And although the price tag is very steep at 1 million credits, that's actually not too surprising. Most of the rally cars in the game, especially this kind of level, do tend to be in the 6-figure region. Now, overall, it's a car that doesn't get as much love as, for instance, the Escudo, certainly not as much as the Cultus as far as unicorns go. Even the Tigra, the ice race car, tends to get more nostalgic love from most people, and I think one of the reasons why is because a lot of people back then, especially when they were younger drivers in the game, probably didn't even go into the Daihatsu dealership to look for this car in the first place. It's just that kind of car. You wouldn't expect it to be there. But what it is incredible. It's one of the best rally cars in the game as far as I'm concerned, and it's one which I'm really glad that they made in the game. Will it ever come back? Most likely not, but I really, Really wish that it would. But that's it for this pick overall. Of course, I'll see you guys next time, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.